It's 7 p.m. and it's Mental Health Awareness Week. It's Friday, which means this is our last episode of Mental Monday. I'm Jake, and it's great to be here with you for another half an hour talking all things kindness and mental health. Now, I'm going to allow a few minutes for people to join, and while I'm doing so, I'll just run through with you kind of what happens here as I do at the start of every episode. So this is a completely unstructured conversation. There's no script at all. Normally I go by what you guys say in the chat as to what we talk about, although I'll probably talk about my blog post for the day, which is what I've kind of been basing these videos on, my blog post for the day when no one's really talking in the chat. But do say hello. Do say hi. We go by what you talk about. Do let me know you're okay. Check in. It's more important than ever we check in with each other during these times. So, yes, let's talk. Let's chat. I keep looking down because my laptop is down there. So I've got the stream dashboard so I can actually see the chat on. And obviously we've got the headphones in, which hopefully sorts the audio out, and we're on tripod as well, hands free, which is really good. I don't think there's anything else to mention other than Mental Health Awareness Week is of course coming to a close on Sunday. I'm taking the weekend to reflect on the week, so I won't be actually making any content other than maybe a bit on Twitter. I'll throw something up on Instagram as well. But it's been great this week, and I've really enjoyed it. And getting to speak to everyone and being live every day. We've been live for half an hour every day. That's like 2 hours of content plus this half an hour today, which is just a lot of content I've been making. And it's really great to be able to actually put that out there to help you, and hopefully you have found some benefit in that. So today is the end of Mental Health Awareness Week, and I really want to close things off and see what you guys have to say. I didn't really go into this live stream with a kind of setup of what I really wanted to talk about, because my blog for today was basically just rounding up the kind of posts that people have been doing. And even under lockdown, there were still people delivering the posts, putting the content out there, putting time into Mental Health Awareness Week, and that of course has made some amazing content. My roundup post is on my site, which you're more than welcome to have a look at. A few ones that I did mention is the big ones that I mentioned were the Mental Health Foundation and the resources they produced, along with the Mental Health Minute as well, which is a minute, and it's basically just go talk to someone, check in with someone. A couple of blogs, I'll just run through them. They are all on the blog. It's Forgetting Fairy Tales, good blog there about the acts of kindness. There was 50 acts of kindness you can do under lockdown. And obviously being under lockdown, we can't really, do all the things that we'd normally do. We can't go out, we can't take our friends out, etc., etc. So it's kind of being inventive and being creative in how we can actually support people even through when we maybe not there to support them, but we can still support them. And that post talks about that. Then Unwanted Life, this was featured last year. The blog is basically everything about kindness, from the practical tips at the end to the journey of kindness, why it matters, and it's worth a read. Train pain in my brain, kindness saves me. That's a quote from that, and I love that. I love the idea that kindness is powerful, and I've been speaking on Wednesday about the power of kindness, and this is an idea I've really formed this week. I never really thought kindness was powerful. I thought, you do something for someone else, they're thankful, that's it. Transactional almost. But actually going through this week has made me realise that kindness is powerful, and that's been a realisation for me, and I'm glad that this was the theme of this week, because then I've actually thought that, and that's kind of what I've learned this week. And I say that because I'm also learning this during these weeks. It's not just me talking about mental health. I'm also, processing and thinking and getting involved. And it's great to actually connect on that level as well. The pastoral room is more into the science of how taking care of yourself makes you positive, makes you happy, and obviously being kind to yourself is something we all need to do, especially during these times, being accepting of yourself and realizing, actually, what I'm doing is my best right now, and that's enough, and not beating yourself up too much, and actually just being there for yourself and being kind to yourself are great things we need to be doing to ourselves every day. And to keep doing that under lockdown, of course, is something we need to keep up doing. Then we've got a few others on the list. We've got Victoria's Highway to Happiness. Featured this one because it's talking about how kindness isn't going to fix someone, but it's still worthwhile. When we start having, say, mental health conversations and we're talking to people, I don't think a lot of us would know exactly what to say. I'm not talking about trained people. I'm not trained at all, but just people, when someone comes up to you and says, I have a mental health problem, I don't think any of us would have the perfect reaction or have any idea what to do, other than just listen. And I think it's okay. You're not going to be able to solve the problems. You're not going to be able to help the person feel better. You're not going to help them recover. You're not going to take away whatever they're going through or change what they've been through even. But actually saying that you're okay with yourself and that you're kind to yourself, and by being in that place where you're like, what I'm doing is enough, and being there for someone is enough, and I'm not going to fix them, but I can listen, etc. I can be there, send them a text. That's, for me, still helpful, and I think most of my friends have. We do talk about mental. We kind of do. It's not something like, oh, how is your mental health today? It's not brought up in conversation like that. It's more, how are you feeling? I'm not too bad. Or if I say I'm feeling low, then I get a lot of stuff in the group chat sent to me. But stuff like that actually is kind of just enough, and that helps me, and that makes me feel better. I'm not expecting my friends to, solve everything. And I feel like, you don't have to put that pressure on yourself to feel like you have to solve or fix or help the person you're being kind to, who's come to you to tell you about a problem. Just listen, be there for them. That's really enough, and yes, that's enough, really. I just said that twice backwards, didn't I? And then Time to Talk is another blog. We featured this last year. This is all about loving yourself, really, and it kind of leads into everything I talk about is being kind to yourself, because that's one of the most important things we can do right now, and be kind to others, be kind to ourselves, just being kind in general. There's probably kindness is the best thing we've got, really, as humans. Our ability to, care for each other and look after each other, and actually kind of just be there and helping each other actually is enough, and that is one of the best things we actually do, and hopefully we'll do more of, and we'll stop trying to break down those kind of bonds and the kind of kindness by being unkind, and we're just kind, and hopefully we're all kind, and not just because we've learnt from this time, because kindness is in all of us, and everyone should just be kind. And I say that knowing that it's not going to happen, but I really want it to. I really just want everyone to be kind, and they aren't, and that's kind of hopefully something we've learnt from this week, is that we need to be kind to each other, and hopefully more people will be kind because of this kind of time we've spent, and because of this week and the theme of kindness being talked about by everyone. Hopefully everyone will start to be a bit more kind. And that leads into the next one, which is from Mental Health First Aid England, which is kind of more practical tips about how you can actually be kind. So it's all well and good saying how to be kind, but then you've actually got to go out and be kind. And some of that's easy, some of that you can kind of see, some of it you may not know what to do. Ask. Is there anything I can do to help? You can ask, and I think, as I mentioned yesterday, it's important not to look at a list that someone's made about ideas of kindness, or someone who says you can do this to be kind. Just go by what the person says they need. There's not like a one size fits all. You just need to go by what they need and how you can help them, and how you can be there for them and be kind to them, how you can do that act of kindness, how you can support them in some way. And that's kind of individual, and you're in the best place to know that, and so are they. So if you're not sure, ask, but don't look at a list of tips and try and do all of them, because we're all in different situations, we're all in different places. Kindness is not a prescription. You can't just say, here's a list and do it. Kindness is just in its own circumstance, and it comes up in its own situations. So really, be kind, but know what you need to do to be kind. You've in that position. Don't go too into the tips lists of how to actually be kind, as I mentioned yesterday. And finally, we've got Amy's book life, and this stood out to me because I'm a writer. I used to write short fiction, and then I didn't really have time to. And now I do have time to. I find my time is filled with so much other stuff that I don't really bother with it that much. It is probably something I'll get back into. But Amy's book life is just about gifting a book to someone. And I think that's a very simple act of kindness that we can, gift something to someone. The book stood out to me because obviously I'm a writer, so that would be quite nice if someone was to do that for me. But just doing something kind for someone can be as simple as that. And I liked how it was written, and it is a simple act. I mean, buying a book and then getting it delivered to someone is simple. And I feel like it's simple, but then they've got something to do if they're bored in lockdown. And what if you buy them a book that could, resonate with them? And there's a lot of, say, mental health books out there. Then, that could actually help them. But don't, buy a mental health book just because they've got like buy something that they'd like, not just buy something because of what they're going through. Mental health books are not like for everyone. They are for some people, they aren't for some, but just go by what you're in the position to know if that's the right decision or not. Again, most of these and most of mental health blogs are ideas, and the word there is ideas. When I give tips or a tips list, so say I wrote a post, 5 ways to take time to self-care. I haven't actually written that post, but if I wrote that post, then you don't need to do all 5. They're just ideas. If they work for you, then yes. If they don't work for you, then no. And I think that so often, and I used to do this myself, we kind of get fixated on these lists and what we read, and these are the ways to self-care, and this person does this list and they're recovered more than me, so I need to do that list too. And this then it gets into a race of recovery, and then it just kind of goes into a place where it's kind of not where it's meant to be going. And I think we need to just take a step back really from what we read. And I mentioned that during this week because there's a lot of content, and just taking a step back and saying, actually, what can I do with this? I can't do this entire list, and actually being realistic and doing what's going with kindness, doing what's going to help someone. What's going to help someone? You don't need to do everything, but what's going to help someone what can I do for someone? And asking yourself that and then doing maybe one or two things, that is better than trying to stick of a whole list and not having the other person in mind, because then when you kind of do the list and do this, here's a list of things to do to be kind, you kind of forget the other person. You're just doing it because it's a list, and that kind of removes the kindness aspects of it, for me anyway. And the Mental Health Foundation also mentioned on the kind of kindness guide is that always have the other person in mind. And yeah, always, don't just be kind because it's on a list. Be kind because it's going to help them and you want to be kind and you're doing a good thing and you're putting them first, etc. Do that because you're kind to them. And there we go. That's the blogs I've been reading. Obviously, I've done a lot of content as well. Everyday blog and video, which is I plan it in advance, so it's not like a massive rush, because most of it is planned in advance, except for Wednesday's post. Wednesday's post, which discusses the Mental Health Foundation report, and this one which does the roundup of blogs. These are the only two I do in the week. Everything else is scheduled and ready to go, which is really good for me, because actually having that time to do that means that I don't get stressed in the week and I have more time to read these blogs and actually kind of involve myself in the week as an individual rather than actually getting involved on the mental health blog level. And I like being able to kind of create that space where I'm doing this for me and then I'm doing this for my blog, and actually having that separation is kind of nice to be able to then kind of improve my blog, because I'm kind of thinking as me, not thinking as a writer on a mental health blog. And I like that. I like creating that space, which is why I'm giving myself the weekend to kind of actually read kind of what's been going on social media, because I have been on a little bit, but not really a lot. And I've read those blogs, but I'm sure there's more out there as well. And I haven't actually seen anything in the news at all about this, so I'm interested to see how that's been covered in the media as well. Well, I've obviously seen it on the news, but I mean, I haven't really gone into it that much. So I need to actually have a look, have a catch up, see if there's anything to add into the roundup post. And that's what I'll be spending my weekend doing. How will you be spending your weekend? It's Radio 1's big weekend as well, so I'm probably going to be listening to that a lot, because there's not really much else to go to, really. So it's nice to have a bit of a distraction. How are we all anyway? I hope we're all well. Don't really know what to talk about, really, now. I didn't really have a script going into this. The thing about it being unscripted is it's hard for me to think of things to say that actually kind of link to the thing I said. Otherwise, we'd just be jumping around all over the place. So I try and keep things linked as much as possible, although that's not always possible. So yeah, let me know what you want to say. I'll just have a sip on this water, let you have some time in the chat. So, we're back. Where were we? Talking about things to talk about. And I think that I've really enjoyed this week. What do you think? I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed having the space, the kind of, to talk about kindness, because we're all seeing much more of kindness, and especially with the clap for carers, which actually they were talking on the news about stopping. Not sure if that's actually going to happen or not, but hopefully it doesn't. It's really nice going out there and smiling at neighbours you never actually talk to. But we're all having more kindness. We're all seeing more kindness. Captain Sir Tom Moore doing that. That was talked about by the Mental Health Foundation, raising 30 plus million. I think, I don't have the exact number, 30 plus million for the NHS. And then all the million people that volunteered to help the vulnerable, people who aren't in that figure but like have their own little community groups, like Facebook pages even, or just everyone really. We've seen a lot more kindness, and I think that because we're kind of relying on that kindness a lot more, and because life has slowed down and there's less distraction, we're actually able to come back to what matters, and realizing that the kindness that we have for each other actually matters, and we can then take that time to be kind, to show our kindness, to volunteer, to get involved, to actually have that time to come back to what matters. And I really like this week for highlighting that, and it was good that the Mental Health Foundation changed its theme, because it was originally sleep, but now they've changed it to kindness, and I feel like kindness fits a lot better, and I'm really happy they did that. And I think looking at the content that was produced this week, I really think that worked well, and I really think that kindness has worked really well considering everything that we're actually going through at the moment. Kindness was the best decision, in my opinion, that they could have spoke about, because now everyone's having more kindness. We can actually link that to mental health and getting better, and how that actually helps us on our recovery journey, and the fact that being kind to people helps your mental health. So, we're all being more kind to each other. There's also a positive mental health impact, although I'm sure in the current kind of times that's negated by the negative impacts of, not being able to access mental health services, and the kind of stress of lockdown, and the worry, and the not knowing when this is all ending. There's so much there I could go on, but I won't. But you kind of, at the moment, but hopefully when this is over and we don't have those worries, we'll be able to realise and keep and stick to being kind, and always being kind this week and during these times, but beyond that as well. And I just hope that we're kind, really. And I said this yesterday as well, and it kind of fell flat, but kindness is powerful, and I really hope that, we use it for good, and we are kind, because that makes things happen which are good for people and good for you. So that is really kind of my last thoughts on kindness. That is it. It's been a great week. Yeah, I'm just checking the chat, making sure you guys are all okay. Do let me know if there's anything. You can reach me at Twitter at Jake S. Wrights if you want to get in touch on a kind of more DMs, kind of obviously not public in a chat on a channel, which is totally understandable. I would hope that you've also found some value in this week. I found a lot, and I hope you have as well. I hope kindness hasn't been a mundane theme, a kind of, I hope it hasn't been a theme that's kind of fallen a bit flat for you, because that's some of the comments I was reading on Twitter. But Twitter is, there's always the two contrasting views on Twitter, and some of the comments were that it's kind of, people couldn't see really the benefit for mental health. It's just kindness is, why do we talk about kindness? We all know to be kind. But actually, I think talking about it makes us think about it more, and being kind to others, and then others being thankful for your kindness, then encourages you to be kind again, which is kind of what I was talking about on Wednesday with the mental health report. So definitely being kind is worth talking about, because hopefully it will inspire and encourage more kindness, which is what we all need, and what I really want to happen because of this week. It certainly inspired me to restart my Mental Monday, which I kind of stopped, and then I started it for this week, but I kind of made the decision that I was going to, from Monday onwards, we're going to restart Mental Monday, and we're going to try and give it a good go this time and see what happens. So that's 7 p.m. every day on Monday, talking about mental health, how we are, checking in chat, etc., etc. And just kind of all the things Mental Monday was, but in a kind of new, energized way that actually hopefully helps you, rather than just me talking. Because the reason I stopped it was twofold. The first was that I felt like talking about my mental health made it worse, which was I was wrong about. So now I am talking about mental health, and my mental health is fine. Because I was going for a low patch, I attributed my low patch to actually talking about mental health. So I just kind of stopped everything. But now, going through this week, I realised, I actually like it, and I feel happy. And I would use that word, happy, that I get to talk about mental health. And that's why we're going to start the Mental Monday going forward. And the second reason was because one of the issues on Mental Monday, other than the setup, was that it got to a lot of me talking and no one really listening and no engagement in the chat, and it kind of got a bit boring, really, a bit repetitive, especially doing it every week. So I'm going to give it a go, see what happens. We may cut it back to every 2 weeks, depending on how much kind of chat there is. It all depends on you, really, because I don't have a script for it. So it's not a mental health video. It's not, I'm going to tell you 5 ways to take time to self-care or some other post. It's going to be about, actually, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm feeling, this is what I've done this week. It's unscripted. I like things unscripted because I feel like I'm a lot more fluid and a lot more open when I don't edit everything to an inch of its life and press backspace on mostly every thought. When I don't have a script, I'm actually a lot more fluid, and it kind of forces me to think and then talk, and I feel like that comes across a lot better than reading from a script. And let me know what you think about that. Would you have a script or not? I'm kind of no on script side, but let me know what you think about that. And I will see you on Monday for our first new edition of Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health, which is its full title. And it is only on Monday. It's only been every day this week because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. And of course, that means we have to be live every day talking about mental health, because this is the biggest week for me, and I've always enjoyed getting involved, as I keep saying, because it's a fun week. And it's one of the best things about mental health is the community. And for me, one of the best things of recovery and of mental health, other than kind of getting my life back and actually, is that it's made me a lot more, it's helped me kind of become a lot more real and a lot more driven, I guess, to help people, because I've been through so much, and I've kind of had to really work hard to get to where I am now, and I want to kind of utilise all of this time and all of this life. But also it's the community. The friends, as I'm sure many of you all know, the friends you form on a mental health journey are some of the best friends you'll ever have, really. And you'll have, terrible relationships with them because it's up highs and lows and up and down, but they are the best friends you'll have. And I think that having that mental health community is one of the best things about being here and getting involved in these events, and actually being part of that community myself is currently the best thing about kind of talking about mental health. So there we go. Another stream, another day, the last day. That has been our last Mental Health Awareness Week special. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it useful. If you want to get in touch, it's at JakeSWrites on Twitter, or my website, jakesymons.com. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm actually grateful always that I have the opportunity to be here with you today. And I would hope that we go from this week and we are be kind. And I haven't actually quoted this yet. And I've kind of wanted to save it, but then I saw a few other blogs quoting it, so I thought I'm going to do now. So, as a kind of final thought, just before I go, I just want to give you this kind of sentence, and then I'm going to end the stream, and I'll see you Monday for the mental health. It won't be a mental health awareness week special, will it? It will just be normal mental Monday. I've been doing these too much. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. And that's what I would ask of you watching this stream or not watching this stream, to just be kind to others, to not be unkind. Especially on Twitter, it's so easy to be kind, but be kind to others and be kind to yourself. Bit of self-care. I'm always a big advocate for self-care. So, there we have it. My final thoughts for Mental Health Awareness Week 2020. It's been great to share in it with you, and I look forward to doing it all again next year.